This is the Transforming Anxiety Podcast with Kelly Hanlon McCormick, and today is episode number 208. Change is hard. Welcome to Transforming Anxiety. I'm your host, Kelly McCormick. I'm a mom to 2 boys, a wife, friend, daughter, and sister, and I'm a certified life coach, yoga teacher, and soon-to-be mindfulness meditation teacher. I'm no stranger to anxiety, and I'm here to teach you how to manage your mind and your emotions so that you too can transform anxiety into calm, peace, and whatever you want for your life. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. Good morning if you're listening to this in the morning, and happy Wednesday if you're listening to this on a Wednesday. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be hanging out with you. There are a lot of new faces, or ears, I guess, rather, around here. So I want to just take a quick moment and welcome you if you're new. I'm so glad you're here and that you're joining in on this ongoing conversation about transforming anxiety, about how figure-outable and overcomeable this whole thing is. The world needs more conversations about things like stress and overwhelm and anxiety. Not the negative parts of it. We talk plenty about that. But the common parts, right? The relatable parts and the transformation. How very possible it is to transform this experience, these emotions, this mindset, and this inner landscape. So if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome. I'm glad you're still hanging out with me, that you're here each week listening in. So we did another interview last week. Dr. Kirk Schneider was with us, and I have some more interviews coming up. I'm excited to keep bringing some different voices, different approaches, different ideas about just how figure-outable this whole thing is, how common it is, how we're all experiencing this, and how we just don't need to feel stuck or limited or wrong because of it. So, anyway, hi. Welcome to everyone, and thank you so much for being here with me. So we're going to have a good conversation today, a necessary conversation. We're going to talk about change today. And specifically, I want to look right at the fact that change is hard. This podcast is called the Transforming Anxiety Podcast. And the implication there, of course, is transformation, right? Change. And I think it's all good and fine for us to say we want that, right? There are areas of our lives that we all look at and say, yes, I'd like to change that. We can think that. We can say that. We can talk about it and dream about it and make fun little plans around it. But to really create change in our lives, to make things happen, to stop doing things one way and to start doing things another way, that's a whole other thing. And that's what I want to explore with you today. The reality that change is hard. It's absolutely possible. People change things every day. But is it easy? No. So let's start with a quote from Maya Angelou. She said this: "Stepping onto a brand new path is difficult, but not more difficult than remaining in a situation which is not nurturing to the whole woman." This is a beautiful way to say it. I'm always so excited when I talk to a new student, when I hear from a new listener, and they say something like, "I'm so sick and tired of feeling like this," or "I'm so frustrated with this anxiety." Yes, we cannot create change from a so-so place. There's no incentive. Change is hard, yes, right? Stepping onto a brand new path is difficult, for sure. But what's harder and far more difficult is living in a way that feels terrible. Or as Maya Angelou said, remaining in a situation which is not nurturing to the whole woman. We have to recognize that when what we're doing, how we're thinking, how we're feeling, how we're living isn't working, that it isn't working. It's not sustainable, right? Maybe it's not what we want. Maybe it's not in alignment with who we know ourselves to be. And change is hard. We aren't going to change anything if we aren't frustrated enough with our current situation, with what's happening. So always think of that frustration, that I'm sick of this, as a good thing. We need that. That's the catalyst for change. That's the springboard you're going to use to change things, because change is hard. So you're going to need some energy from being frustrated and just sick as hell of it all in order to actually change something. Yeah? Mary Shelley wrote, she said this in Frankenstein, "Nothing is so painful to the human mind as a great and sudden change." Let me say this again. Nothing is so painful to the human mind as a great and sudden change. This is true. And I want to remind you here why change is so hard. And that is because our brains like to keep things the same. We like to do the things we've always done over and over and over again. Why? Because it conserves energy. Every time you have to make a decision, every time you have to choose, every time you have to be creative and resourceful and discern and sift and sort through options and ideas and create something new or different, your brain has to use precious energy. And it's how we've evolved as animals to conserve our energy. Your brain is arguably the most expensive organ in your body, energetically speaking. About 20% of your daily energy goes to support your brain. This is why your brain likes to keep things the same. Your brain figures, hey, you're alive, you're surviving, so whatever we're doing up to this point, it must be working. Keep it the same, don't change anything, conserve your energy. Remember, our ancestors didn't know where the next meal was coming from. They didn't know when more fuel and food was coming. So from an evolutionary standpoint, it's very important to conserve as much energy as possible, which is why, as they say in Frankenstein, nothing is so painful to the human mind as a great and sudden change. It's hard to change, right? So let's look at this a little more closely. I often remind students that they showed up here listening to this podcast or in a mindfulness class or working with me one-on-one because they were feeling enormously uncomfortable. There was a lot of anxiety in their lives. They felt stressed, overwhelmed, worried, full of self-doubt maybe. They ruminated, they lost sleep, they overdrank and wasted time and money shopping and scrolling and zoning out with screens, sugar, and signing away their power and their confidence to culture, family, coworkers, friends, society. Doesn't feel good. They already don't feel good. And then I make a few suggestions. There are some practices, right? There are ways of paying attention. There are ways of becoming self-aware, ways of showing up with compassion and curiosity and kindness. And they say, well, no thanks. I don't know. That seems like it would be a little uncomfortable, those practices. And here's what I want to remind you. It's uncomfortable either way. You're already uncomfortable, right? You're feeling anxious. You're doubting yourself. You want more confidence. You're stressed, worried, stuck in your head, ruminating on dead-end thoughts. It's already uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable either way. And it is, right? It absolutely is. So you might as well pick the discomfort that grows you, that pushes things forward, that changes things for what you want. Change is hard. It's uncomfortable. And I like to think of it this way. When you go to a coffee shop, you pay for coffee in dollars, right? That's what we've agreed to. The currency for coffee is dollars. When you go to change your life, you're going to pay in the currency of discomfort. So think if it costs $7 to get a latte, think of it similarly. Like, let's say, for instance, it's going to cost 4 discomforts to go to bed earlier tonight than you usually do. Maybe it cost 27 discomforts, let's say, to take a deep breath before you respond to your sarcastic teenager. Maybe it costs something like 192 discomforts to say no to a glass of wine at a dinner party, and then to have 3 people in a row ask you if they can get you the same glass of wine that you just kindly refused. You see what I mean? Change costs something. And as far as I can tell, it costs us in discomfort. Change is hard because our brains like to keep things the same. And we have to know that the currency of change, right? And we have to be willing to pay in the currency of change in order to create change in our lives. That's how it goes. It's hard and it's real. And simply knowing this is what's happening can help you get started and move through change. This is why change is hard. Our brains are literally programmed against it, and it costs us in discomfort. We have to overcome the evolutionary programming in our brains, and we have to be willing to pay in the currency of discomfort in order to change things in our lives. And like everything, there's different costs, right? So like a latte is $7. Let's say a new car is $70,000. Same with change. Some only cost a few minor discomforts, right? Not that big of a deal. Others cost huge deal, long-term discomforts. It doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong or that you're headed in a bad direction. It means this is what change costs. This is what's required. It's not free. It's not easy. And it's for sure not always fun and amazing. All right, Albert Einstein said, "The measure of intelligence is the ability to change." Folks, what if this is true? What if our capacity to change, our willingness to do hard things and be uncomfortable and intentionally up-level and shift and tweak our routines and habits and thoughts and feelings and lives is the measure of intelligence? Like, put this alongside paying in discomfort, right? The currency of change, and really think about optimizing your overall life. The possibility. Like, another related Einstein quote you've probably heard is, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." Yeah, I like these two. It reminds me that change, the willingness to change, being uncomfortable in the interest of creating new and different things in my life is hard and painful, for sure. But it's also growing me. It's expanding me. It's increasing my capacity for intelligence and really to live the way that I want to. All right, I want to leave you with this for today. In his book, the book is called Into the Wild, which is a wonderful and magnificent and totally gut-wrenching read. It's amazing. Here's what Jon Krakauer wrote. He says, Make a radical change in your lifestyle and begin to boldly do things which you may previously never have thought of doing or been too hesitant to attempt. So many people live within unhappy circumstances and yet will not take the initiative to change their situation because they are conditioned to a life of security, conformity, and conservation, all of which may appear to give one peace of mind. But in reality, nothing is more damaging to the adventurous spirit within a man than a secure future. The very basic core of a man's living spirit is his passion for adventure. The joy of life comes from our encounters with new experiences, and hence there is no greater joy than to have an endlessly changing horizon, for each day to have a new and different sun. If you want to get more out of life, you must lose your inclination for monotonous security and adopt a helter-skelter style of life that will at first appear to you to be crazy. But once you become accustomed to such a life, you will see its full meaning and its incredible beauty. So good, right? We are very accustomed to comfort. Think about it. If you're a little hot, you adjust the thermostat by like 1 degree to get more comfortable. Right? We're all known to hang out with like-minded people and listen to like-minded things so that we hear our comfortable opinions echoed back to us instead of being challenged by opposing viewpoints. Right? You fidget around, you complain, you scroll, you eat, you overwork, you get drunk, you vent, you buy some more stuff that doesn't really matter by the time Amazon delivers it. But we do a lot of things to try and get or stay comfortable. And this is physically, mentally, and emotionally comfortable. I want to suggest that practicing being with discomfort is okay. That you can do it. That it's helpful, actually. A skill that, when intentionally honed, actually creates a path towards change. If you're willing to be uncomfortable, if you know you can feel uncomfortable, then you can create new and different things in your life. Change is hard. Yes, no question there. And the way to travel through the hard is to get more familiar with discomfort. You don't have to like it. People say, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And honestly, I don't really think that's the goal either. I'm not comfortable with discomfort. What? No. But I am resilient. I can do hard things. I can travel through discomfort, even if I don't like it. I can keep my eye, my mind, and my heart on what I want to create for myself and travel through the pain to get there, paying in the currency of discomfort the whole way through. So yes, change is hard, but it's not impossible. It's absolutely doable. And one of the things I've noticed as I've looked around at people I admire, people who have created wild and astonishing and big and small and different things in their lives, is that they're willing to be uncomfortable. That's it. They aren't smarter or more skilled or fearless. Nope. They're just willing to be uncomfortable. And that truth, that's a game changer. And that is what I have for you today. Change is hard, but you can do it. I am here for you. In fact, I have another mindfulness course coming up that'll be a great way to practice, like a safe way to practice, right, with some discomfort. So if you're interested in that, keep your eyes on your inbox. Be sure you're signed up for the email list, kellyhanlonmccormick.com. And in the meantime, I will be back at the same time, same place next week for more Transforming Anxiety. Please leave a quick rating and review if you haven't done that already. I would be so grateful if you would. And I will see you again soon. And until then, please take care. Do you have someone to help you with your stress, anxiety, worry, and overwhelm? If not, I would love to be your coach. The Fierce Calm Project is my virtual coaching program where we get to go in on topics like this one, and I can help you apply these lessons to your life so that you're creating your own transformation. We do live coaching calls, guided meditations, on-demand yoga classes. We hold book club where we read books your neighborhood book club won't, and there's lots of bonus content that I've created just for you. When you're ready to take what you're learning on the podcast to a whole other level, then come on over and check out the Fierce Calm Project at kellyhanlonmccormick.com/Fierce Calm Project.